watching my fellow artists line up themselves before Dictator Museveni's brother, General Salim Saleh, to beg for handouts. My mind was taken back to the story of Joseph Stalin, the Soviet dictator of the 19th century. Stalin once plucked off all the feathers from a live chicken as a lesson to his followers. He then set the chicken on the floor. A short distance away, the chicken was blooded and suffering from great pain. Yet, when Stalin began to throw some bits of wheat to the chicken, it followed him around. He then said to his followers, "This is how easy it is to govern stupid people. They will follow you no matter how much pain you cause them, as long as you throw a few worthless crumbs to them every once in a while." This story has come to life very many times in Uganda. Museveni, like all brutal dictators, appeals to two human weaknesses, greed and fear. Those who resist greed are intimidated into submission, after which he returns and gives them a few crumbs from his loot. I am sure every artist fully understands this, because artists are expected to understand the things around them, even above the average citizen. Artists are aware that about 2 years ago, the regime brought very oppressive laws targeting the industry. Among the laws proposed was a requirement that an artist must submit his or her lyrics to the Minister of Gender for approval before producing any artistic work. Another ridiculous one was a requirement for artists to get permission from the government before they are free to perform abroad. These regulations were never shelved. They were only put on a halt when the regime got the excuse of COVID-19 to implement the control which they had hoped to achieve through the regulations. Artists are aware that before shows were banned on account of COVID-19, I and Nubian Lee were not allowed to perform anywhere in Uganda. The regime made it clear that any artist who dares to criticize its corruption and injustice was not going to be allowed to perform in this country. Several artists, including Nubian Lee, Dan Magic, and the Mighty Family comedian, just returned from Chitalia after 7 months for simply associating with me and for speaking the truth. The attack on the arts has been clear, for in all this, we have seen very few artists bold enough to stand in solidarity with fellow artists and with the music and the creative industry. Uganda Musicians Association, WUMA, an association which we started to fight for the industry, has been loudly silent about all this injustice. It was reduced to a beggars association. It is very sad to see that the very person who destroyed the music industry has finally been able to make artists bow down in humiliation to worship him. Oh, what a shame. This generation of artists needs to remember that we have been there before. In the 1970s, artists and writers such as Robert Serumaga, John Luganda, and Okoti P. Baitek fled to exile in neighboring Kenya. Byron Kawadwa, a playwright and artistic director of the Uganda National Theatre, paid the ultimate price of death in 1977 following his critical play Oluyimba lwa Wankoko. They refused to sell their souls to dictator Idi Amin. Yet today we celebrate them. I know that all these artists are aware that the entire objective is to silence not just individual artists but to water down the entire music and the creative industry so that it never produces another Kyagulanyi kind of artists that speak truth to its face. The objective is to divide the artists and cause them to fight against each other, because General Museveni believes in the divide and rule concept. No wonder several artists are already up in arms questioning the methods and criteria used to select beneficiaries of the few monies dished out every once in a while. Moreover, taxpayers' money. I can only imagine the disappointment of the fans who read on their artists raise their voices and speak about social issues that affect them. As we speak, many Ugandans are grappling untold poverty, hunger, disease, and oppression. Many of our people are dropping dead because of starvation. It is in such times that artists should rise to the occasion and speak on behalf of the millions of their fans whose voices have been suppressed and locked down. This is not a time for artists to line up for the despot and beg for a few crumbs that falls off his plunder of our nation. Before going to meet General Salim, these artists should have asked themselves these questions. 1. Why are they not invited to a ministry for the arts? 2. What does a military general have to do organizing music and the arts? 3. Isn't this the same place where fellow artists were recently beaten and humiliated? Deliberate destruction of institutions and the certain plan of keeping everyone poor so that they have to beg the dictator for survival should have been clear. But anyway, it's so sad that they never learn. They are just too blind to see that they are being used to their own detriment. It gets clearer each day that the people of Uganda are on their own. Sad, I know that all hope is not lost. I encourage all well-meaning artists, especially the young, to believe in the values of hard work and patience. Most importantly, they must resist the temptation of quick fixes from the regime and work not only for their well-being, but the well-being of the people of Uganda who have made them what they are. Ebyo nno ebigambo bibadde ebigambo by'omukulembeze w'eggwanga lino era omuyimbi w'eggwanga Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, ate ng'amannya agayimba ye Bobi Wine. Yavuddemu ebigambo ebyo ng'alaga obwennyamivu bw'alina eri bayimbi banne abasazeewo okugenda okufukaamirira General Salim Saleh ne basimba layini mu hootero gye bamaze ewiiki eziwera ddala 2 nga baalindiridde ssente ezabasuubiziddwa okubawa buli omu obukadde 20 nga General Salim Saleh yazibawa, ng'ekyebuuzibwa kiri nti General Salim Saleh yafuuka ddi akwasaganya music industry, era nga kyeyeebuuza music industry kakati yazze emikono gy'abamagye be balina ogikwasaganya, kubanga kyali kibaddewo emabega ne bakuŋŋaanyizibwa era mu kifo ekyo bwabula baavaayo nga bakubiddwa amagye lwakuba baagano bisa mawulire ensi okubimanya naye baba bayitamu babawe ssente okukakkana balwanaganye mu kuva okulwanagana amagye ne gabiyingiramu ne gabakuba bubi nnyo ekitaasanyusa bayimbi abalala baali batagenzeeyo. Naye olwaleero kyekintu kyekimu kye baakoze. Bano abantu baayitiddwa mu kifo eyo bamaliddeyo ddala wiikisi 2 ezijjudde nga basuubiziddwa okuweebwa kasente. Basajja batto bwe baagenza okulinda akasente nakati bakyali eyo mu kiyumba beebase. General Salim Saleh ye yabayise nga yeebuuza Bobi Wine, omuntu okuyimba ebiyamba eggwanga bw'ozibula abantu amaaso olwo oli mubi. Ye Bobi Wine ne Nubian Lee muyimbi munne we bayimbanga ennyimba zaabwe be baavaako akabasajja bano okukyawa music industry eya Uganda ne basalawo okwagala ogiwunzika kuva lubereberye, wabula bafuna advantage nti COVID we yajjira mu ggwanga ekyo ne kibayamba okuggalawo ebivulu byonna. Buli muyimbi yali alina ekivulu n'asalwa, abaateekamu ensimbi zaabwe tebafunamu. Kati batandise okuŋŋanya obukundi nti kati buno bwa promota tubawe ssente, buno bwa bayimbi tubawe ssente, naye baba bagaba ssente ez'abayimbi bawa balondemu, si buli muyimbi nti afuna. Ekireesewo okwebuuza lwaki bakikola bwe batyo. Baagala okwawulayawula mu bayimbi bafunemu ekiwaayo ekikwatagana nabo ate kitandika okulwanagana n'ekiwayi ekirala ekitakwatagana na bali abakwatagana n'abakulu, nga Bobi Wine kyavuddeyo n'alabula bayimbi banne bagende mu ngeri eyo, tabagaana kulya ssente naye nga beebereremu, nti kino kigenda baleetera okwawukanamu nga bo abayimbi n'abayimbi bakubagane mu ngeri etali nnungi. Ekyo kijja kuba ekiruubirirwa ky'abasajja bano, kijja kuba kituukiridde ng'abayimbi beeyawuddemu. Temukyayimba wabula bwe muyoya ekyokulya nga babakuŋŋaanya mujje tugende tubaweyo ku kasente mu ngeri y'okubasuulira obukunkumuka. Nawe bw'oba oyagala ojja bunoona lwa nsonga emu tolina kyakulya. So n'olwekyo bayimbi bannaffe, abayimbi baffe ab'eggwanga balungi, tusaba mwekolerere nnyo. Bw'oba nga okuyimba kwaggalwawo kituufu, tubeeko engeri gye tuyiyamu emirimu egisobola okutubeezaawo, tuve mu mbeera ey'okusabiriza, kubanga omuntu oyo gw'osabiriza Eva tagenda kubeera nga akuwa, ajja kukuwa olwaleero enkyakuleke ng'oli mu mbeera etasanyusa, atadde eri akusekerere bagambe kati mulaba bayimbi bwe bali abayogerwangako abali abamannya, kati ate be bali mu mbeera esinga okuba ey'okusabiriza. Kiba kiswaza bannaffe.